Okay, part two. uh, this is the exact same setting, of course. This is Econ Dave, chilling here. Nighttime Dave, chilling. Um, so there was a video that I did a while ago, and I never uploaded it. And I've reflected on it a little bit, and I want to expound more on the ideas. So, um, I believe, especially within Los Angeles, California, our infrastructure is rotting. The houses are 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They're very old. The apartments are 90s, old. And as we get ever closer every year to another decade, the infrastructure rots. Now, this is something that I'm really curious about. Could the government pass a law where 401ks and the contributions will have a certain percentage be pre-dedicated to have, for instance, everyone in Los Angeles, California, let's just say that the bond is called, I don't know, W2, W3, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? And imagine if every single person in Los Angeles County, 25% of their 401k contributions went to this bond. This bond, now mind you, this would, in my opinion, it would cost tens to hundreds of billions of dollars to successfully do this. We have a lot of wires in terms of the electricity above us here in Los Angeles. If you go into some other modern parts of this, of different parts of the city, you'll see that there's underground wiring and there's nothing above. And the reason why that I mention this is because Los Angeles has a very interesting transportation system. I think it sucks. It's very sporadic. Things are kind of moved about. For instance, from me commuting from, San Fernando to Santa Clarita would take 3 buses, a train, and more buses to get there. And it's 2 hours. And to me, frankly, at the end of the day, I find that to be really ridiculous. I think that we have mismanaged and not used our land properly, and we haven't been willing to redevelop, especially a long, long time ago. I mean, this might be your grandparents, right? When they were, up and coming, young, like our age. And they really didn't think for a single second that the car idea is kind of stupid. They didn't think for a second that maybe we should be investing in public transportation. Now, people are going to say, but David, we have buses. Here's the thing. Los Angeles is full of a bunch of jackasses that drive very terribly. We drive at very high speeds. We don't care about the regard of other people and their safety. We just care about getting to the fucking boba shop in, 2 minutes faster than the Google Maps would say. When traffic is extremely dense in these cities, it takes forever to get through the lights. And you spend almost a good percentage of your life just driving. To me, I find that stupid. I don't have time to be wasting. We do not have time. We have a finite amount of resources. And why the fuck would I want to sit there and spend the majority of my life driving behind the wheel? I don't want to do it. So my main question is, can we take the money from the 401ks, put it in the bonds, and add a cent to cent per person, per ride, per whatever? Because I imagine we can build metro trains. I imagine we can do kind of like what San Fran does, where they have like those really cool like trains, and then they have the wiring on top, and it kind of just goes, and it's like electric powered. I imagine that for San Fernando and for Los Angeles. The problem is we have a lot of wiring. The wiring, I mean, you'll have maybe 4 to 5 wires up on top, and they're all jumbled together, and then you got the little Verizon internet box, and you got all this shit. And you're over there thinking to yourself, and you're like, fuck. The amount of work, money, and infrastructure. It's having all those businesses without power. It's digging into the ground, into the most busiest intersections you can. It's putting in the piping, putting in the wiring, getting everything together. To me, I think that it's a worthwhile investment. If we have a very big earthquake or storm that comes by, we are SOL. And chaos in this city will ensue. So the problem is, right, a small city can't just raise 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 million dollars to do it. That's insane. Absolutely insane. And unless you're Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, you're not going to give a flying fuck about this city. You're going to go wherever you want because you're a global citizen, right? So the reality of the situation is what do you do? How do you invest in a local city and improve it? Because the biggest problem we have in this city right now is we don't give a fuck about each other. We don't care about our community. We don't care about anything. We only care about ourselves. What do we do? So I think we should force people to invest. I think that it should be everywhere. Now, if you have a 401k, you should be taxed for this bond. But the taxes should be separate on your check. But people are saying, well, why? Why? And the reason is because, for God's sakes, our infrastructure is falling apart. When are we going to really think about redoing and revamping our neighborhoods and investing our capital? Because if you work on the power source first, you can put between a 1, a 3, to a 7-cent deduction every single check. We have millions of people here. So we can take those surplus charges onto the electric bills that'll be sent to customers when these things are put in. And I mean, look, for the vast majority of people here, especially for the 401k, you can look at the overall, okay, well, how many people are, in the city, how much shit's going on, and you can kind of then mathematically try to figure out, to the best of your ability, how can we get a good return to the 401k while investing it in a municipality bond that can then be covered and paid for. I don't want to just have people throw money at a project. The project doesn't make any money, and people are out. I also want to get to the point that we stop fucking investing in the stock market as much. Now, some would say this is the greatest creation of wealth ever in the history of man. It is, sure. But the common man investing in the stock market is not advantageous. It leads you in a very weird circle, because at the same time, the workers all across the world, and hell, maybe you might even be one of them. Maybe you work for Coca-Cola. You've been there for 25 years and you're still struggling. You're still having a hard time, but they call you lazy. And they say that it's your fault. Well, we incentivize these capitalists home away from business school. Find the cheapest labor possible. Get rid of the most expenses you can. And matter for the bottom line and the common stock for the shareholders. So, mind you, we have all these immense rich people, these people with wealth. This money just isn't coming from everyday people, right? It's coming from these sovereign wealth funds, pensions. But also, if you have a 401k, it's you and me. It's them investing in a normal stock, investing in a normal index fund with all of these stocks, all these different companies, and we are incentivizing people to be trapped where they can't unionize. These people can't work worker co-ops. These people can't promise to take an amount of their money and invest it, whether in bonds or anything else. So then people can try to get a good percentage of an ownership stake and really get in there, and we don't allow that. We do everything we can. And to me, it's wild. You should be invested in your local businesses. You should be invested in your local communities. You should have your hands so deep in the business of this city that it should be, you should know everything. Now, is everyone going to be in this situation? No. People are not into a point where they can invest handsomely and have all this ownership and do all these things. But that's why one of the most important things, hence going back all the way to the beginning of my point, was taking people's money from the 401k and investing it. The first thing you want to do is you want to put in solid infrastructure so that we can have the freedom of the line, so I can put a straight line. You can do it from universities. Start them off at the unis, and every single neighborhood, whether it's a 15 to a 30-minute increment, will have, whether it's a tram, a little train, whatever, and you can have that available for them. And you can use half the road. Now, half the road, half the time won't be used, and of course there are workarounds and ways. Each city is going to have to need something different. But for God's sakes, we need this. The average person can save money by not having a car. A car is a negative to society, because number one, right, you're wasting your money on gas, you're wasting it on a car payment. If it breaks down, the maintenance, some are going to say, but these are responsibilities. I didn't ask for these responsibilities. What I asked for was the last generation who didn't do it build proper infrastructure, be able to build cheap and affordable housing. And then you have the government who's like, well, oh my God, all these line items, and oh my gosh, I have all this debt and I got to do, well, motherfucker, I don't care about the government and their debts. I care about the average American and their debts. That matters more to me, right? Fuck the line items of the government. Show me the line items of the average citizen, right? You have, right, car payment, food, all that shit adds up. Or even if you don't have a car payment, the expenses of a car is tiresome, it's burdensome. And having these things hurts you. But investing $200 to $250 a month into a bus pass and a train pass is supporting your local economy with a surplus charge underneath. Everyone will see it in the receipt to pay back the bondholders who invest in those things. And that to me is the way that I think that we should go. Very modest, and good growth, not explosion growth, because those are bubbles, but finding ways to incentivize the marketplace of people to want to put forth money into a government that'll be trusted and that'll be able to execute at a high level, on time, on budget, and be able to get people what they deserve. And that's their line items addressed. Because if you have it to where you have studio apartments for $500, you don't have to keep raising Social Security, right? If everyone gets on Medicare, because we have one centralized group of people with the option of stepping out and going having your own private insurance, but you have to have an insurance, right? I can't have you motherfuckers get into a really bad car accident with no insurance because the system's overpriced. Everything's overpriced. But the government has the ability of coming in and saying, if I'm going to tell you how much you're going to get, and you're going to know how much profit that you're going to have. And if you don't like that, I will go to a competitor outside of the United States and I will get what I want. It's as simple as that. The bulk majority of our medicines and the bulk majority of our medical equipment isn't even made here. So why are we overpaying? Why are these people, aka the insurance companies, getting in the way of the middlemen in between it? Because you see, the goal of the government is to be a construction machine, to grab one crate. The crate can be any idea you want. It can be, again, building infrastructure. It can be, public libraries, parks. And the goal of it is to listen to everyone. We give the direction to the government. The machine goes, grabs the crate, and it moves it. It is the idea, the goal, and it drops it. And when it drops the idea, then and only then can it be accomplished. Now, this will involve the public market, because you see, I don't want the government owning apartments. But the government has the right to grab the box and say, boom, 0% federal taxes for 4 years, 0% state tax for 10 years with no property tax. We will hire and we will do fast track programs from high school and college so people can get jobs where they can zone and be able to approve buildings so we can get the tape moving faster. And any other obstacle that comes into our way, we can deal with it in a safe and responsible way. But we're not going to be doing the bullshit on fucking waiting for things to change, because they're not. This infrastructure will continue to rot. And if you guys want it to rot, hey, that's fine. Just know that you're going to be losing talent, money, and people are going to give up. Why do you think people leave the state? People don't like the state. The fact that a full-time worker, 40 hours, cannot afford a studio apartment by themselves and will still struggle is disgusting. We are a sick society. We need to go to the hospital. This isn't okay. And if you think it's okay, you think it's a part of the plan, the game, the grind, you are one of the reasons why that our country is so sick. And we need to find the cure, a responsible cure, not anything crazy. Capitalism is nothing more than the exchange of goods and is better than bartering. Sorry, I saw a bunny here. Oh, there's a bunny. Oh my gosh. I'm over here streaming. Anyways, y'all have a beautiful and wonderful night. Thank you for listening to my rant, and let's